I was working in the IT industry. I had no idea about the future. I did not know that there was a world out there of bank exam preparation. Within 6 months of that, I had been selected as a State Bank of India probationary officer. How did that happen? Well, I'll tell you all about it in this video. Hi, this is Shupriyo. If you are new here, my mission is to help you get success in all types of competitive examinations through the practice of self-study. So click on that subscribe button and also don't forget to ring that notification bell so that you, my friend, do not miss any future updates. Let's get right to it. So before we start off with the video, if you want to join a community of people who are trying to go into self-study, then you can join my Telegram group. We have already over 1000 people in it and we are trying to create a revolution in the field of self-study. So if you like this video, please leave a like on this video and share it with your friends. Let's begin. So how to prepare for SBI PO 2020? You are here because you want to get into the State Bank of India as a probationary officer. Now, before you jump into this journey, which is going to be a long one and which is going to involve a lot of sacrifice on your part, I want to ask you and I want to know whether this exam is actually suitable for you. So the first thing that you should have in mind is your why. Above all else, you must understand your why. So why do you want to get into SBI? Are you frustrated with your own job? That's why. Do you want to make your parents proud? That is why. Do you want to get into this job because your neighborhood uncle has said that his son is preparing? Who are you doing it for? You must have the answer to this question. You must have your why. Search your why, and if you are not sure, you can write down in the comments regarding your why and I will help you shape it. Why do you want to get into SBI? And you must have that burning desire inside you. You must have that fire in your belly. Otherwise, you are not going to get selected. Otherwise, you are going to end up like all the other lakhs of aspirants who attempt this exam every single year. You are going to be competing against 15 to 20 lakh other aspirants. You need to know why you want to go into SBI, why you want to become an SBI PO before you can have a proper SBI PO preparation strategy. So that is what you need to understand, and you need to also remember that your age should be between 21 and 30 years. So that is something that is very important, and you can be a graduate from any stream. So your stream does not matter at all, and even if you are a final year student. So this is very interesting. Earlier it was not allowed, but now they even allow final year students to apply, but they must have passed all their exams before the interview. So you must have passed all of your examinations and you must have at least your provisional certificate that you can show to the interview panel so that they can let you enter SBI. So that is something that you must remember, and you must also be open to working anywhere in India. So this job, it actually involves traveling all over the place, and even if you are posted to a certain state, you might be needing to go to another state. You might have to travel within that state for a long time, and that is why you must be open to working all over India. So it is not guaranteed that you are going to get a job in your hometown. It is not guaranteed that you are going to get a job in your home state even. And another very important thing you must remember is that it is an operations centric job. Now what do I mean by this? Actually, many people go into this job thinking that it is going to be a core finance job. Now remember that this is not a core finance job. It is actually an operations centric job. So you have to take care of your branch operations. You have to manage people. You have to understand the processes and the workflow, and you have to make the deliveries. So there are a lot of similarities with corporate jobs and the SBI PO job, and that is why you must understand what you are going into before you go ahead and just take a lot of time in your life to prepare for this examination. You also have to love sales and marketing. Many people, they feel that they are going to get a सरकारी नौकरी. हमें तो बस सरकारी नौकरी करनी है, हम तो आराम करेंगे, उसके बाद पैरों के ऊपर पैर रख के but that does not actually happen, because your job, it involves a lot of sales and marketing. So you need to have a well versed skills in sales and in marketing. So you can be asked to go ahead and market some products. You need to be selling a lot of stuffs. So many bank products you will have to be selling, and there are a lot of sales and marketing related activities that you have to participate in as an SBI PO. So the next thing we want to talk about is some common myths. Now the first myth is that you need coaching to crack this examination. That cannot be farther from the truth. Not true at all, because all of the friends of mine who are in SBI and many of the people who are selected in SBI, in fact most of the people, they do not go and take any coaching. Only thing that you need to buy is mock tests. Now if you are somebody who actually believes in coaching, then I want to ask you, why do you think coaching actually helps us? The most important thing that coaching gives us is motivation. And if you are not already self-motivated, then I don't see how you are going to crack this examination. You need to have a strong core belief. You need to have a strong why, a burning desire to join this job. And only then you can be self-motivated, and then you can go ahead and crack this examination. A coaching institute is actually just a catalyst, and it will not replace your own efforts. And that is why if you are giving your wholehearted efforts, then you can just go ahead and buy test series, and you do not need to join any coaching institutes. Now I want to ask you directly, do you think that coaching is necessary for this examination? Write me down in the comments below. I want to know how many of the people still think that coaching is necessary, because I personally do not think that it is necessary. You may disagree with me, and write down why you think that coaching is necessary. And the next thing is, SBI will be sold or privatized. Now this also is something that is gaining traction in these days because of the various news like LIC privatization. By the way, that is also a very wrong news information. So I have actually already made a video on this about LIC privatization and why people are wrong, and LIC is not going to get privatized. So please do not worry about SBI being privatized. So at least for the next 15 to 20 years, SBI is going to remain a public sector bank. So don't worry. Third myth, after cracking SBI, life will be non-stop fun. Anybody who has cracked SBI will tell you that life is not non-stop fun. There is a lot of responsibility in bank jobs as of now. And you can see, plain and simple, even in the coronavirus situation, banks are remaining open. People have to still go to their jobs. They still have to work hard. And so you must understand that just cracking SBI does not mean that you are going to have non-stop fun. You will be asked for a lot of responsibilities. And if you only want to go into a Sarkari job, then this is not the job for you. And it's not a pure Sarkari Naukri, as we already discussed. It is not a pure Sarkari Naukri. There is a lot of corporate responsibilities attached. You will be given targets. You will have to go into sales and marketing and all sorts of stuff. So it is not a simple Sarkari Naukri. And another thing is, you should focus 100% on SBI PO only. Many people give this as advice, and it is actually very, very wrong. Of course, there can be a dream job, and of course, SBI can be your dream job. It was mine. But the thing is, you need to apply for all of the jobs in the year that you are preparing for these examinations. Do not wait for only SBI. Do not wait for only IBPS. Go ahead and apply every examination. Apply for SEBI, apply for RBI, for even the clerical examinations, the junior associate examinations. Do not limit your choices. Apply all the examinations, and of course have some dreams in your head where you want to end up. But you need to collect as much experience as you can. I had applied for 16 examinations in the year that I was selected for SBI. So you can understand how many examinations I went for, and each examination will help you to become a better version of yourself, and the next examination will just become a little bit easier. So don't limit yourself and apply everything. Another very, very important thing is, only commerce or engineering people crack it. This is perhaps the biggest myth, because in my batch alone, there were so many people who were BSc honors, so many people who were from Bachelor of Arts, and all other kinds of streams were also there. And remember, the very, very important thing that you must remember is that Srimati Arundhati Bhattacharya, who was our ex-chairman, is actually an English honors graduate. Can you believe that? What do you think about Sri Rajneesh Kumar? He is the current chairman, and he was an MSc in physics. So you do not need to worry about your degree. It is what you make of your life. It is about the knowledge that you want to gain. It is about the career that you want to have. And if you put in the effort, nothing is impossible. So let's begin with the salary and the scope of growth. So what is the starting salary? So the starting basic pay, it right now stands at 27,620, plus you will be getting dearness allowance, house rent allowance. House rent allowance is not given to you if you are getting a lease, and other allowances are also there. So there are also petrol allowances and also furniture allowances and etc. Lot of allowances are there. Even there is something called the smart compensation package, which actually you can take, but right now we do not need to go into deep about it. And the deductions, it will be your provident fund, your NPS amount, your taxes will be there, income taxes, professional taxes, and also some loans. In SBI you can take many loans. For example, you can take the festival advance, and this type of loan is at 0 interest, so you can always take that loan, and the EMI for that loan is going to be deducted from your salary slip. So these deductions will come into play. And the gross pay now, so the gross pay, it will be around rupees 47,000 to rupees 60,000. Now why is there such a huge range, you ask? Well, there is also a lot of difference regarding your posting area. So if you are posted in certain city places, you are going to get city compensatory allowance and lot of allowances, so your salary rises up. And also it depends on your lease and whether you do not get a lease. So lot of factors are involved. There is also the smart compensation package that I talked about. That is why there is a lot of difference, but this is the range that you can expect when you join SBI. And the net pay, it is going to be rupees 39,000 to rupees 48,000. So that is the net pay in hand that you can expect in SBI. So that is the range that you can expect. And the CTC, if you ask me, so CTC, it will actually revolve around 8 lakhs to 10 lakhs. So usually it will be below 10 lakhs when you are entering SBI. So that is how it is right now. And just remember that there is a lot of potential for growth. There is no doubt about it. So almost all the SBI chairmen were SBI POs. So for example, our current chairman Rajneesh Kumar, he was a 1980 batch probationary officer. So all of these people, they had risen as probationary officers, they had joined the SBI, and now they are at the head of SBI. So this is something that you need to remember when you are going into SBI, and a lot of people will tell you that. So what is the exam structure all about? There are 3 main phases in the examination. So phase 1 of the examination, it deals with the preliminary examination, and this video, it will be all about the preliminary examination. So I will not be talking about the mains, the GPI in this video. It will be in a separate video. So all the parts of the prelims I'll be covering in this video. We'll be talking about books, we'll be talking about mock tests and everything. So the next part of the video, I will be taking you through the mains, the GE and the PI. So the prelims examination, 1 hour is provided to you. There are 100 questions, and we'll just get down to it a little bit. The next phase is the mains examination, which is the phase 2, and we'll talk all about it in a future video. And the phase 3 is the group exercise and the personal interview. So these are the 3 main phases, and after that, if you are selected, then SBI will be calling you for the document verification and the medical examination. So there will be some medical tests that you have to just get it done, and you have to submit the results, and after that you will be allotted the circles. Now remember that right now there are 17 circles in SBI. So you will be allotted in any one of these 17 circles. You might be allotted in your state, or you might be allotted in outside your state as well. And usually it has been seen that for female candidates, most of them are getting in their states, while for male candidates, earlier what used to happen was everybody used to get out of their state. But right now there have been some policy changes, and many male candidates are right now being posted to their own states. So that's some good news for you. And finally you have your joining, and after joining also you will be undergoing lot of trainings. So the learning process never actually ends. So even after you get a job, you have to continuously keep on learning. That is very important. So what are the best mocks to buy for this examination? Remember that you need at least 2 sources. So at least 2 mocks you need, because usually for example for mains, they will be giving you 10 mock tests. So you need to have at least 20 mains mock tests, and for the prelims also they will be giving you a lot of mock tests. But if you have 2 mock test providers, then you can have a lot of mix about it, and you do not need to rely on just one perspective. So the first mock test that I want you to buy, and this is something that everybody buys, it is Olive Board. So Olive Board, the thing is that that it is a very difficult test series and it is also a very expensive one, but your competition, they are doing Olive Board mock tests and you cannot afford to not do this because it is the industry standard, even though the questions are a lot difficult. And so if you get less marks in this mock test, please do not worry. Please do not beat yourself up over that. Just remember that it is only natural to get low scores, but it is very important that you solve these things because they have a very high quality of questions. And the second one that you can buy any one among these four. So you can go for Grade Up, you can go for Test Zone, or you can go for Practice Mock or for Test Book. Now I have seen that Grade Up has great questions and they are actually quite cheap, and Test Zone also, they have very good questions and one of the cheapest out there. Practice Mock, they have a little bit difficult questions and they are also sometimes preferred by the students. So you can take your pick. And remember, Olive Board is your first preference, and the second among these four, anything you can pick. And remember that when you are going for buying, you must test their free material first. So just attempt their free mock test and you will have an idea about the types of questions, about the analysis that they are providing, and you can then make your choice. And analysis is the key, and we'll talk a little bit more about it later on. So you have to analyze everything very well for this examination. Now remember that you have to choose the best, which will also help you with the other exams. So the IBPS, SEBI, RBI, keep these examinations in mind when you are buying your mock test. But in the end, you must buy what you are comfortable with. So let's move to the next part. So your first mock test. Now this is something that I recommend. Before you start your preparations, you can go for a cold mock. So what is a cold mock? It is a mock test that you give before you have started preparation for the examination. So why do you do that? It will help you to understand your core strengths and core weaknesses. So naturally, what you are good at, naturally what you are bad at, everything you will be able to understand once you go ahead and give a cold mock test. So you will be able to calculate your baseline metrics and the type knowledge. So which type of questions you are most comfortable with, which type of questions are very easy for you, and which type of questions are hard for you. Those things you can understand only after giving a cold mock test. And just go ahead and Google free SBI mock test. You can find ample an amount of free mock tests, and you can go ahead and give anyone. Anyone will help you understand, and try to get it for both prelims and for the mains. Now for mains, it is a little bit difficult to get free mock tests, but you can find if you try a little bit. So do one prelims mock test and do one mains mock test. So 2 mock tests you will be doing it before you are starting with your preparation. It will help you a lot to understand your natural strengths and weaknesses. And remember that there are 4 pillars for your preparation, very important: quant, reasoning, general awareness, and English. Now these are the 4 things that you should study from day 1. In this video I will not be covering a lot about the general awareness, so you can just go ahead and check my playlist on current affairs quiz. You will be understanding what I mean when I talk about general awareness and what type of questions can actually come. Those quizzes can actually help you to understand the question type, and in the next video I will talk in depth about how you can cover the general awareness section. So this is also something that you need to start along with quant, reasoning, and English. So in this video I will be telling about quant, reasoning, and English. So will it be an equal division that you are going to give to 4 of these things? So if you are studying for 10 hours, you can split your day into 2.5 hours for each of these things, right? But this is where your cold mock test will actually help. Your cold mock will allow you to understand what is your natural strength, what is your natural weakness. So your naturally strong areas, you do not need to give a lot amount of time. So if you are naturally strong in some area, you can devote a lesser amount of time in the initial phases on that area, and the areas in which you are weak, those you can try and focus a lot more. So your cold mock test, it will actually help you understand these things, and you have to optimize it to yourself, of course, because it is you who decides your study plan. This is why I say that coaching is not of much help, because the coaching does not understand your strengths or your weaknesses. So you need to identify those kinds of things. You need to know where you are falling short, where you are excelling, and you can optimize everything to yourself and plan accordingly after you give your mock test. It will help you a lot. And next, let's move into the phase 1. So the prelims part of the examination. Now there are 3 sections. So let's dive into the pattern. So English language, there are 30 questions that you have to solve, and the duration is 20 minutes.
quant 35 questions 20 minutes, and reasoning ability 35 questions 20 minutes. Now can you understand something? When you look at this, you can see that number of questions is different but the duration is same. If you try and understand mathematically, you will find that English language, they should have allocated only 18 minutes, and for quant and reasoning they should have allocated 21 minutes each, but they did not do this. They have allocated the equal time for each of these sections. So by looking at this, you can understand that there is a lot of stress in the English language, because see, there are 30 marks of English language over here, then you have also English in the mains, you have English in the descriptive section of the mains. So there is a lot of advantage of a person who is good in English. So try and make yourself quite good in English. And there is a sectional locking in this test. What is that? Sectional locking means that the English language, when you are attempting English language, you will only be getting 20 minutes. So when you are going for the English, you are solving the paper is actually locked. So for 20 minutes, you can attempt only English questions, nothing else. And then the next section will start. You will be getting another 20 minutes for quant and another 20 minutes for reasoning. Now remember another important thing, there is no guarantee that this is going to be your sectional order. So any section can come at first. You can get the reasoning at first, you can get the quant at first, you can get the English at first, whatever, and whichever section comes, it will be locked for 20 minutes. You cannot just go into the next section earlier than that. You have to wait till the clock will time out, and only then you can go to the next section. So this is something that you need to understand, and after you give a lot of mocks, you will be able to further understand the pattern. Now total 100 marks are there, and as I told you, English, it will play a vital role. So try and you can strategize, because see, there is another very important thing that you must understand, that there is no sectional cutoff, there is only aggregate cutoff. So there isn't any sectional cutoff for English, quant and reasoning. So right now you only have the aggregate cutoff, no sectional cutoff. 2017 was the last time, and they had some court cases regarding that, so we don't need to get into it right now. If you want to learn, you can just write in the comments, I'll explain what had actually happened. But right now the important thing to note is that there is only aggregate cutoff. So this gives you a unique opportunity. So how do you actually strategize this? What you can do is, you have to get yourself very good in the English language. So that is a no-brainer. English, you have to be pakka, you have to be very good in English. ये तो compromise कर ही नहीं सकते हो. And after that, what you can do, you can target any one section, target quant or you target reasoning, any one of the section plus English. So if two sections for you are extremely good, then in the last section, if you get only 10-15 marks, then you are okay, you are saved, you can go over the finish line. So this is the kind of thinking that you need to practice. And remember the primary thing that I always talk about, that prelims, it is actually a 100-meter race, it is actually a sprint. So speed and accuracy, these are the two important things that you need, and I will recommend that at least you need a 90% accuracy, but you also need quite a high amount of speed for your prelims section. And for prelims, what you can do is, you can try this when you are studying, you keep just 20 minutes on the clock and you try to solve 40 questions. Now what will this do? This will help you to simulate. So you can simulate the exact environment of the exam, because the exam will ask you for only 20 minutes, right? So in 20 minutes you have to solve these questions, and that is why if you put on the clock 20 minutes and you solve 40 questions, then see, number of questions also, it will be from 30 to 35. Now if you try for 40 within 20 minutes, then you can be so very well experienced. By the time that exam comes, you will become a lot faster. And try and keep your accuracy above 90% when you are solving those 40 questions. And also I have put here the last year's cutoff. So last year we had 71 as a cutoff. Right now you do not need to worry a lot about the cutoff, because it will be varying from exam to exam, and it will depend on the exam of 2020, whatever the cutoff comes. But if you use your strategy well, then you can easily score above the cutoff. So this was the general cutoff. And remember another very important thing, that 10 times of the number of vacancies are going to make it. So if there are 2000 vacancies, 20,000 people will be selected for the mains examination. So effectively there will be an elimination of 99% in the prelims. So if you are clearing prelims, you are better than 99% of your competition. So it's a big deal and you must understand this. So let's move to the next part and go into the sectional strategy. Now for English, your target should be 24 plus. It might sound like a lot, but it is very much achievable. But of course it will depend on your exam. So don't think that it is set in stone कि हाँ मैंने बोल दिया है कि 24 करके आना है तो कोई 24 attempt करेंगे ही. But that is not how it works. It will be according to your examination. But this is some kind of a benchmark because we need benchmarks when we are studying, right? And how do I attempt it? I actually try to scan the paper 3 times. So 3 times I will be scanning the entire paper. I will be identifying the easy questions. I will be picking it out. I will be solving it, and then I will be going into the next thing. So try to increase your reading speed. That is something that is very important. You have to read these questions very, very fast. So what do? The first time that I will be scanning the paper, I will be doing the cloze test. It is something that is quite straightforward and I can do it. Then I will be doing the fillers if I find. So double or single fillers, it is very easy. Just one fill, you have to do just one word you have to fill. Then the sentence errors I will be doing. Then I will be doing the vocab. So sometimes you might see that in a reading comprehension, there is a question that asks for the meaning of any kind of word. And there you can just put the meaning. It is very easy. You don't need to go ahead and read the entire RC for that. You can do the spotting errors as well. So this is the thing that I do in my first scan. First time I am scanning that paper, I am doing these things. I am just picking these questions and I am solving it. Then the second scan, what happens in the second scan? I do the sentence improvement. I do the reading comprehension now. So remember, they might have at least 2 reading comprehensions in the prelims. You need to do at least one. So at least one reading comprehension, try and solve it. And as I say that reading comprehension, when you are solving it, you can use a good technique. So I will always go ahead and read the questions first. So read the questions first. You will have an idea about the passage. Then go to the passage. It becomes much easier. And try and use the STOP method. So the STOP method, it stands for scope, tone, organization and purpose. So each paragraph that you are reading, try to find out the scope of that paragraph, the tone of that paragraph, how is the author actually telling it, then the organization, what is the data that is given, what is the things that they are trying to tell you, and finally the purpose of the paragraph, what is the paragraph's purpose in that RC. So if you read each paragraph by this method, it will help you to answer the questions very fast, and it will actually help you to solve at least one RC. I'm sure you can do that. Just improve your reading speed, and then you can do the match the column problems. So they are a little bit complicated. There will be 2 columns given and you have to match the sentences. So you can do that after that. And finally on the third scan, if you get time to go for a third scan, then do the parajumbles. So there will be A, B, C, D, E. There are different sentences and you in the jumbled way, and you have to put them together. So you can do that, and you can do the perfect starters, perfect start of this sentence, the perfect enders, how you can end this sentence, then also the paragraph conclusion, those types which are very difficult. So you can strategize and you can try and see which ones are coming naturally to you and which ones are quite hard to you. So you can just change a little bit this process that I told you, and you can make it your own. You can find out what works best for you, and I'm sure that you can score above 20 very easily in the English section. Next section, it is the quantitative aptitude section. So here my target is 27 plus. Now this is also with the disclaimer that it depends on the paper, and here also I will be doing 3 scans. So first scan, what I am doing, I am trying to get simplification problems, very easy. You can easily do that. Approximation problems, these also you can pick and do. Number series problems, so there might be missing number series, there might be missing number at the end or in the middle. So these are usually formula driven and you can easily solve them. Then you can do the quadratic equations, that are also very scoring areas. Average problems, they are also quite easy. Ratio and proportion, profit and loss, and age problems. So these are the types of problems that I identify on my first scan. On the second scan, I go for the data sufficiency, the partnerships. So questions where A, B, C, they have different stakes in the business. We have to find out the profits. So they take a little bit time, but they can easily be done. And time and distance, simple interest and compound interest, and at least 1 DI at the end I will do in the second pass. In the second scan I will be doing that. So at least 1 DI will be there that you can easily do. There might be 2 or 3 DIs, but one of them is actually quite easy, and you can try and identify that and you can do that DI, because 5 marks are then guaranteed to you. And the third scan I will be doing the mixtures and allegations problems, pipes and cisterns, boat streams and trains problems, and then the mensuration problem. So that is how I arrive at my strategy for the quant section. So many people are very scared of the quant section. I will tell you, don't be. Just make a strategy just like I had made, fine tuned to your strengths, and you will be able to get good score. Finally, the reasoning section. So reasoning section, you have to be ready for unpredictability, and this actually holds generally for any section. So you can be asked very unpredictable questions in any section, because this is a competitive examination given by lakhs of people and they want to eliminate you, right? So you must be ready for any kind of unpredictability, especially in the reasoning section. Your target here should be 25 plus. Again, it actually depends on the paper. So here also I will be doing 3 scans. The first scan I will be doing for the syllogisms, the direction sense problem. So north, south, east, west, person is going there, you have to find out his final position. Blood relations. Now this will be non-puzzle ones. Don't go into the puzzle related blood relations. That will be a little bit difficult. So I will be picking the normal blood relations. Then also the coding, decoding, they are also quite easy. Even if you have some symbols, you can write the meanings of those symbols and you can solve them quite easily. Then the inequalities, they are also very scoring. So in the first scan, I am just eliminating all the low hanging fruit, all the things that are quite easy for me to do. Then in the second scan, I will be doing the data sufficiency, then the alphanumeric symbol series, then the machine input output. So the second scan, it will actually help me to score most of the marks, because it will actually help me to gain knowledge of almost entire paper. And the third scan, this is where I go for the order and ranking, the logical reasoning, where you have to solve a lot of long questions where they will be asking you a lot of text. You can solve those, and then you go for the sitting arrangement and the puzzles. So you don't need to worry a lot about the puzzles. For puzzles, you will be getting a lot of ample sources in the internet about how to solve them, and you can go ahead and you can see. But I don't want you to worry too much about puzzles, because you do not need to be a master solver of the puzzles to crack this exam. Believe me, you can crack this exam with just a basic knowledge of solving puzzles. So don't worry a lot about it. And let's move to the next part. So prelims exam day. Now some tips that I can give you for the exam day. So very important is your self-belief. This is the most important thing that will carry you through the entire preparation of SBIPO. So you need to have self-belief on your abilities, that yes, I deserve to be in SBIPO. I deserve to be selected as a probationary officer in the State Bank of India. Tell that to yourself every single day of your preparation, and your subconscious mind will believe it. And you need to have good sleep the night before the exam. Rest your brain, just calm your brain. Don't be too much stressed, because whatever you have done, how much you have studied, all boils down to those 100 questions. That 1 hour that you are going to spend inside the examination hall. So don't worry too much about it, and forget books on the exam day. So on the exam day, try and just keep away from books. Don't go and see all those formulas and all those things. So just keep calm. Whatever you have studied, everything is going to be okay. You have done enough. You are going to get selected. And this is also something very important, that make friends on exam day. So on the exam day, I have seen so many candidates appear so very nervous. They will not be talking to anybody. They will just be putting their faces in their books, and they will be avoiding all kinds of contact. Don't be that person. Go and talk to your fellow aspirants. There will be so many interesting people, so many interesting characters that you can find in your exam day. So go talk to people, make some friends. You will see how much that reduces your anxiety levels, and the other person will also feel good, because you will be a friendly person. Now another very important thing, don't get too much involved, because you are there to defeat those people and you are there to actually win this examination. So 30 minutes before the exam, stop talking entirely. You have to go into your zone. So this zone, I always used to do this 30 minutes before the examination. I used to go into that zone. I will be thinking about how I will be defeating everybody in that examination hall. So you need to have that killer instinct. You need to look at the other people and need to remember that I am better than them. I am going to win. I am here to ace this examination. And remember the very important thing, that your well-laid plans will get derailed on exam day. So on exam day, there will be a lot of things which will be happening, and you cannot control that. So any kind of surprises can be thrown to you, and be ready for all the surprises. And when you finish your exam, very important, what to do after you finish the exam. So people only tell you before the exam. After the exam, what do you have to do? After the exam, you can check online, you can talk with your friends, you can discuss about your attempts, but not in the examination center. Go home and write your exam debrief first. So you have to write what you got right, what you got wrong, how are you feeling. So you are very fresh right now. You have just given the examination. You come back home, you just open your diary, take a pen and write down your thoughts and feelings. Write down what is going through your mind at this point of time. This will help you so much. I have seen that when I have written those feelings, those thoughts and those strategies that I was thinking about, after that exam, the next exam becomes very easy for me, because I can go and read those thoughts. I can understand where I went wrong. So always write an exam debrief, and the next day you have to start for mains. Many people, they will be waiting for their results. They will be just talking on social media about the exam and about how difficult it was, but they will not be doing the most important thing, which is preparation for mains. The very next day that your prelims is over, you have to start your mains preparation. So do not waste any time and start your mains preparation. That is the best advice that I can give you, because time is limited. And finally, we come to the best books to buy for the SBI PO 2020. Now, some of the important books which I had also referred. So, M. Tyra's Magical Book on Quicker Maths. This is a very good book for a beginner, because it shows a lot of quant tricks, and this will help you a lot to become a better candidate at quant. So, try and read that. You can also get the Quantitative Aptitude book by R.S. Agarwal. It is an industry standard book, and they actually have a bundle with the reasoning books as well. I'll put it in the description, so you can go to the description of this video, and I will be putting the links to all of these books. You can just go and you can check whatever you want, you can buy. And the Quantitative Aptitude Quantum Cat. Now this book I will not recommend for people who are weak in quant, but if you are very good in quant and you need to get a higher amount of challenge, then go for Quantum Cat. This is actually a cat level book. It is for MBA examinations, so it will be not 100% relevant, but there are some very good questions, and in the recent years we have found that the quantitative aptitude level has been rising. So the Quantum Cat book will help you practice harder level quantitative aptitude problems. Then you have to get the Reasoning by R.S. Agarwal. This is a industry standard again. This is a very good book, and almost everybody refers to it. Analytical Reasoning by M.K. Pandey. This book is also something which is quite a very good book for reasoning section, and if you have both these books, then I think that you will be able to solve almost every puzzles, and both of these books are very good. And finally we come to English. So English Grammar, Renan Martin. This book is something that should be on the table of almost every aspirant, and it is the most important source for English for any kind of problems that you have, and it should always be in your table. And finally, Disha English, topic wise solved papers. So you need to understand what type of questions are asked in English, and Disha Publications book actually helps you get targeted practice. But remember that books alone are not going to help you. You have to go for the mock tests, because the books, some of the questions are quite outdated. So the most important thing is mock tests and the analysis of mock tests. That is very important. So this ends our prelims exam analysis, and in the next video we will be talking about mains, about GE, about PI, and also about the various apps. So if you want to watch that video, hit the subscribe button, and please like this video and share it with your friends if you have benefited from this. I hope that you have learned something from this video and that it was beneficial to you. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.